Angle relationships, vertical, complementary, and supplementary. All right, so let's start with some vocabulary and symbolism. The word congruent means having the same measure. The symbol for congruence is this equal sign with the little wave on top. The symbol for an angle looks exactly like an angle. Some review on some types of angles. Acute angles, less than 90 degrees. Obtuse angles, greater than 90 degrees. Right angles will exactly equal 90 degrees. You will always see a little square showing the symbol for a right angle. And straight angles, which actually look like a straight line, they actually measure 180 degrees. Now, first type of angles we're going to talk about in this video. Vertical angles. They are a pair of angles that are opposite of each other when two lines intersect. What you need to know about vertical angles also is that they are congruent. So here you can see the 40-degree angle on the left is opposite of the 40-degree angle on the right. They are congruent. They have the same measure. Over here on this example, the 102-degree angles are opposite of each other, formed by intersecting lines, and they are congruent to each other. Complementary angles. These angles are not congruent, but they are a pair of angles whose sum is 90 degrees. The example I have over here on the left with the 63-degree angle and the 27-degree angle. If you add their measures together, they equal 90 degrees. Therefore, they are a pair of complementary angles. The example I have over here with this right angle on this straight line, if that's a right angle there on the left, then you could also have a right angle here on the right, and therefore the two angles that you see here, the 40-degree angle and the 50-degree angle, they definitely would add up to equal 90 degrees. Therefore, they are a pair of complementary angles. Supplementary angles are a pair of angles whose sum is 180 degrees. The examples I have here on the left, the 63 degrees plus the 117 degrees would equal 180 degrees. They are a pair of supplementary angles. Here's another example, and this is the kind you're going to very commonly see, where you have one angle adjacent, meaning next to another angle, where those two adjacent angles together form a straight angle. We know a straight angle measures 180 degrees. And as you can clearly see, 130 plus 50 equals 180. This is clearly a pair of supplementary angles. All right, first practice problem. Which angle is a vertical angle to angle 1? All right, well, first of all, let's highlight the lines, as I've done here on your screen, that the two lines that actually create angle 1. So here's angle 1. Up here in this top left-hand corner. Vertical angles are opposite angles formed by intersecting lines. So the opposite angle of angle 1, formed by these two intersecting lines that I've highlighted for you, is angle 4. They are a pair of vertical angles. Next, which angle is complementary to angle 1? Remember, complementary angles are two angles that add to equal 90 degrees. Well, you saw this box here, this square, showing the 90-degree angle for angle 3. Well, if that's a 90-degree angle, then I could also shift this over, going top left, and you can see that angle 1 and angle 2 would together form a 90-degree angle. That's what complementary angles are, two angles that add to equal 90. So angle 2 is complementary to angle 1. Next, new drawing. If the measure of angle 2, that's what that M stands for, the measure. If the measure of angle 2 equals 144 degrees, what is the measure of angle 1? All right, so we don't really need angle 3 for this problem, so we can kind of ignore that and cover that up. Angle 2 is this big obtuse angle. We already know it's a measure of 144 degrees. We're trying to find the measure of angle 1, which is pretty clearly an acute angle. Here's what I want you to notice. Those two angles that are adjacent next to each other together form a straight angle. We know a straight angle is 180 degrees. This is an example of a pair of supplementary angles. The two angles together form the straight angle, which means the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 will equal the straight angle, which is 180 degrees. We know that the measure of angle 2 is 144 degrees, so substitute that in, and we can solve by subtracting by 144 from 180 to get the measure of angle 1 of 36 degrees. Now, same drawing, different angle that I'm giving you. The measure of angle 3 equals 40 degrees. If that's the case, what is the measure of angle 1? Well, this is different than the last time. Here we have angle 1 and angle 3, and if you notice, they are formed by two intersecting lines and they are opposite angles of each other from those two intersecting lines. This is a pair of vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. Again, the word congruent means equal measure. So the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3, and since the measure of angle 3 is 40 degrees, the measure of angle 1 is also 40 degrees. One more problem. This one has no picture, so we have to pay attention to the vocabulary. If x degrees and 18 degrees are the measures of complementary angles, what is the value of x? All right, complementary angles, as we've already learned, are the kind of angles whose measures would add up to equal 90 degrees. If they were supplementary angles, they would add up to equal 180 degrees. So let's solve for x. The inverse of addition is subtraction. That means 90 minus 18 gives us the measure of x of 72 degrees.